Hi, boys and girls. Welcome back. We are going to be reading chapter 11 in your reader and working on activity book page 12.2. So make sure you have those things out in front of you. And as always, you can listen to me read the chapter to you, or if you feel brave and confident, you can read the chapter yourself and answer the questions. So I'm not going to be answering the questions for you, but what I did do on 12.2 was give you the page numbers where you can find the answers. So number 1 says, what is a telegraph? Now, I want you to answer these in complete sentences. If you do not have a complete sentence, you do not get credit. So for example, you're going to write for question number 1, when I get my pen working, a telegraph is, and then you're going to finish that sentence when you find the answer. Number 2, why was the Massachusetts Institute of Technology so important to Alec Bell? Well, you might write, and you can shorten it by saying MIT, which is a very prestigious school. MIT was important because, and then you tell us why. Number 3, Alec Bell said that electric current could be used to carry sound. Why do you think people thought he was crazy? So there's information about this on page 122. It might not come right out and say why people thought he would be crazy, because it says, why do you think people thought he was crazy? Knowing what you know about sound. Number 4, describe how an accident led to the invention of the first telephone. This is on page 124. And then number 5, you are thinking in your brain what your answer is. Alexander Graham Bell felt that self-education is a lifelong affair. What does that mean to you as a student who is learning new things every day? So you're going to pay attention to find the answers to those questions, and we'll talk about the last one at the end of the chapter a little bit. So here we go, chapter 11, Alexander Graham Bell, part 2. Alec Bell loved thinking of new things to invent more than anything else in the world, especially to help other people. In 1837, another inventor, Samuel Morse, created a machine called the telegraph. The telegraph was a way to send messages long distances across wires. It was limited to dots and dashes and could not transmit human sounds. Alec began to think about ways that he might improve upon this new invention. I used to tell my friends that one day we should speak by telegraph, said Bell. He devoted all his time to this new goal. So did many others, and the race for a new invention was on. So there's the answer to the first question. The telegraph, it's right in there. With the invention of the telegraph by Samuel Morse, people could send messages long distance. A system of dots and dashes called Morse Code, have you ever heard of it? Was used to tap out the message on the telegraph. 3 dots followed by 3 dashes followed by 3 more dots stands for SOS, code for help. You'll hear about SOS in a lot of old-timey movies. Boston, Massachusetts became an important place for many inventors. The Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, made space in one of its labs for Alec to do his experiments. His days were filled with teaching and then trying over and over to make human sound travel across a wire. All of his energy was spent on this creative idea. He wrote that his idea of using electric current to carry a sound would likely make others think him crazy. So he kept most of his ideas and experiments secret. Alec hired a young mechanic to help him. Thomas Watson knew how electricity worked. At first, their experiments failed more than they succeeded. Alec thought they were getting closer to success. I think the transmission of the human voice is much more nearly at hand than I thought. On June 2nd, 1875, his dreams came true. Here's Alexander Graham Bell and Thomas Watson working together to try to transmit sound using electricity. Like many inventions, an accident led to an important discovery. With the electricity turned off, Watson sent a message to Alec that Alec could hear. He heard tones, not just one single-pitched sound. He knew instantly it was a huge step forward. I have, by accident, made a discovery of the very greatest importance, wrote Bell. 3 days later, the first telephone recorded, "Mr. Watson, come here, I want to see you." To Bell's great joy, Watson had heard and understood what Bell had said. Fame and fortune came to Alexander Graham Bell and Thomas Watson. They soon formed the Bell Telephone Company to make and sell their new invention. And there is Bell's first telephone. A little different than what our phones look like today, right? Bell continued to invent the rest of his life. "Self-education is a lifelong affair," said Bell. "There is no failed experiment," he said, to convince people to keep going with their ideas. He passed his love of learning on to his grandchildren and inspired a whole group of new inventors. So let's talk about that. Self-education is a lifelong affair. So by trying things and failing at them, he was actually learning a lot, wasn't he? And that's a lifelong thing that you can't stop learning ever. There's always things to be learning. Mrs. Goshard is still learning things. So self-education is a lifelong affair. So the last question on your activity book page, where it asks, what does that mean to you as a very young person who's learning new things every day?